Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Prahlad Maharaj is speaking to Hiranyakashipu, and Hiranyakashipu is becoming extremely angry by hearing this, because Hiranyakashipu thought he had everything settled up. Everything was perfectly arranged for his enjoyment. Everyone in this material world is under the illusion that he's in God. But Hiranyakashipu had actually made some arrangement whereby it appeared from his limited angle of knowledge to be actually true. He appeared to be the controller or the king of the whole universe. He had stopped the worship of Lord Vishnu all over the universe. Everything in the universe was at his disposal for his enjoyment. Everyone was afraid of him. So Prahlad really bothered him, really disturbed him, because Prahlad didn't give a damn for Hiranyakashipu. That he just told him, look, you're just a big demon. You don't know anything. That really bothered Hiranyakashipu, because he thought, well, I know everything. I'm in control. No one's better than me. So when Hiranyakashipu asked, well, where did you get this knowledge of Krishna consciousness from? Prahlad more or less told him, well, it's not even worth your asking. You can't understand all these things. Not by your own endeavor, not by the endeavors of others, not by speaking in big conferences. You can't understand. You've got the wrong goal of life. You're completely in the darkness. You're going to hell because you never smeared your body with the dust from the lotus feet of a devotee. There's no way you can understand. So it's not even worth me trying to explain to you. So Hiranyakashipu, he wasn't used to be calling a fool, which he was actually, even though he was very superficially very intelligent and powerful. But because he didn't know that the goal of life, nati vidu swartagatingi Vishnam, is to surrender to Krishna. Therefore he was counted as a fool and a great demon. But it's very nice for us because we got these nice instructions from Prahlad Maharaj. Often the adverse situation brings out something good. Just like devotees, they're sometimes put into great difficulty by Krishna just to show how wonderful is their character. Prahlad Maharaj is a great example, how in the greatest of difficulties he simply went on remembering Krishna without disturbance. Similarly, even this Mayavad has been preached. In one sense, that has some purpose also. Because we're in this material world, because we don't recognize the supremacy of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone in this world, in this material world, is a Mayavadi, either directly or latent. So when Mayavad is spoken, then the devotees, they preach very, very strongly against it and establish by logic, by reason, by Shastra, by everything, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All the great commentaries by the Acharyas, they are replying especially to all wrong philosophies, but especially to the wrong philosophy of Shankaracharya, that the Supreme Absolute Truth is impersonal. So out of Hiranyakashipu's envy of Prahlad Maharaj have come these wonderful instructions which guide us away from the wrong path and onto the right path. The right path is the path back home, back to Godhead. And the wrong path is Andhaya Thandai Rupaniyamanas Tepisha Tantram Urudam Nibadha. That was explained yesterday. For the blind following the blind, becoming more and more tightly bound in material life. So Prahlad Maharaj was explaining what not to do. First of all, he was saying, Matiya na Krishna, those whose mind is not attracted to Krishna. Now he's giving the idea how to become, same thing, Urukrama Angrimati, how to have the mind attracted to Krishna. The answer is, one has to go through the via medium, the Mahat, the great devotees. And not only one has to see them, sometimes people are very interested, I will see the devotee. Going for darshan, we will see him. But here, Prahlad Maharaj recommends something which sounds quite extreme. Take the dust of the lotus feet of a devotee and smear it all over your body. So what is the meaning of this? The meaning is, one has to put oneself in the most humble position before the Mahatma. That means not only physically smearing the dust, but taking that position. I'm the lowest. Of course, that taking the dust of the lotus feet is also an important part of devotional service. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami especially has recommended it very strongly. What is that? Vaishnav Pada Dhuliya, Vaishnav Pada Jal, Vaishnav Charan, Vaishnav Bhukta Shesh, 18 Mahabal, 18 Hoite Krishna Prema Hoy, Bar Bar Shastra Fukariya Koi. He says that three things, they are very important. He says, the dust from the lotus feet of devotees, the water which has washed their feet, and the remnants of their food, these all have great power, because by serving these three, 18, Krishna's love of Krishna can be developed. And he says that the Shastras, they again and again, repeatedly and affirmatively state this, emphatically state this. So that is very much a tradition in Bengal, that people, they like to take the dust of the lotus feet of devotees. If one wants to express his humility before a devotee, he'll touch the feet and put the finger to his tongue. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to Bengal after taking sannyas, all the people, they realized, oh, our Nimai, he is such a great person. For so many people, they were blaspheming him, or they didn't care for him. But when he took sannyas, they thought, oh, our Nimai Pandit, actually he was such a great person. We misjudged him. So when he came back to Bengal, they were all very anxious to be forgiven. And wherever he went, wherever he put his feet, the people would immediately jump and catch this dust and smear it all over his body and take it home in big pots. So wherever he went, there were big holes. You could find out where is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It just looks like the Bosnian minefield. So even today, it's like that. In Bengal, if you go, you'll find people are very anxious to touch your feet. In Orissa also, the culture in Orissa and Bengal is almost the same. Prabhupada told one devotee, he was sent him to preach in Orissa. He said, if you learn Oriya and preach, thousands of people will come to touch your feet. So if you have any desire to have your feet touched, if you like to be a big guru, you can go to Bengal, Orissa, all these places. And even if you don't want to be a big guru, if you go there to preach, then you'll find so many people coming to touch your feet. And even if you want to avoid it, you can't, because you're outnumbered.
Because?
Yeah, there's too many. You come to a village and there's hundreds of people waiting. And you can't stop them. I mean, you can tell them, but they won't stop. They'll come. Nice. So even in Mayapur once, Prabhupada was instructing about this. Because in his purport, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada writes that one should not allow anyone to touch the feet unless they are initiated devotees. Because there is one has to take the karma, at least to some extent. So devotees, they were coming to Mayapur festival, and there are all the villagers from all over Bengal coming and jumping to touch their feet. So devotees were running away and shouting at the people, hey, leave me alone. So Prabhupada in one lecture, he told, let them touch your feet. They've come here for that. That way they'll become pious. And they've come to touch the feet of the Vaishnavas, let them do it. So that was Prabhupada's instruction at that festival. Yeah. Now one should not think that, oh, I'm a great devotee, let me give out my dust. Everyone can be benefited. You see some sadhus, so-called sadhus in India, they sit for darshan with their feet stretched out. That everyone will come and they can take whatever benefit there is from touching the lotus feet of a Mayavadi. Once I saw Prabhupada, he was coming back from morning walk in Vrindavan, and one Indian gentleman was waiting for him. Just as he came into the Krishna Balaram Mandir at the front gate, the man made a rush for it, and he came to touch Prabhupada's feet. So I thought Prabhupada or his devotees who were with him might stop him. Prabhupada just stopped. The man touched his feet, then stood up as if he wanted to say something to Prabhupada. Prabhupada looked at him to say, all right, that's enough, and he went inside to take darshan of Shri Shri Gaur Nitai, Krishna Balaram, Radha Shyam Sundar Lalita and Vishakha. So the general principle is that a devotee, he doesn't want to advertise, I'm a great devotee. Prabhupada certainly didn't do that. You see, all these people, they went from India to the West and they made themselves famous. You'll find, just like someone was asking about Chinmoy, people know, of course not that well known, but if anyone knows, they know his name. They don't know what he's talking about, but they've heard of his name. And there are so many, this so-called Yogi Mahesh and another so-called Guru Maharaji. And they made their own name famous, or infamous.
What?
Infamous means famous in a bad way. Apayash. In Sanskrit also, yash means fame and apayash means infamy. Anyway, you have any tissue paper? Get some tissue. I didn't bring any. Yeah. So, Prabhupada, he made Hare Krishna movement famous. Everyone heard of Krishna, but very few people heard of Prabhupada. Of course, in India, people got to know about Prabhupada. Because in India, they have the culture that the guru should be respected. But in the Western countries, still now, most people, they didn't hear of Prabhupada, though everyone knows Krishna. So a devotee doesn't advertise himself that I am so great. But still, it is his duty to guide his disciples, and in guiding them, he has to teach that what is the position of Guru also. Sakshad Haridvena Samasta Shastra Uktas Tatha Bhavyata Eva Sadvi Kintu prabha ya priya evatasya vande guru shicharanavindam. The spiritual master is to be respected as much as the Supreme Lord, because he is the very confidential servitor of the Supreme Lord. This is declared in all the scriptures. At his Vyasa Puja ceremony in 1935, I think it was, Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur explained this position. He said that people who are coming, they may see me sitting on this big seat, and they may think, what is this big animal? Just like an exhibit from the zoo. He's sitting on a big seat, and people are praising him. And he's listening to it very attentively. He's not even protesting. He's agreeing with everything they say. How arrogant! Did you ever see such arrogance and pride? So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, so what should be my reply to such an observation? He said that I readily admit that I'm the vilest, lowest, most despicable person that was ever born within this Brahmanda, this universe created by Lord Brahma. But still, somehow or other, I've been fortunate to get the lotus feet dust of my spiritual master and put it on my head. And my spiritual master, the representative of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has given me an instruction. That instruction is, wherever you go, whoever you meet, instruct them in the science of Krishna. In this way, become a guru and deliver the land. So I am a servant of my spiritual master. I am not a servant of the sophists of this material world. I am not a servant of the so-called sophisticated people of this material world. I'm not a servant of the politicians, of the educationalists, of the scientists, of the businessmen. I'm a servant of my guru, and he has instructed me to continue the disciplic succession. So my duty is to instruct my disciples. Especially the spiritual master instructs the disciples in Srimad Bhagavatam. So in instructing the Srimad Bhagavatam, when we come to the 11th canto, we find Lord Krishna is instructing Uddhava. And one of his instructions describes the position of the Acharya. Acharyang bang vijaniyan navamanyeta karhichit namartya buddhya suyeta sarvadeva mayo guru. He says that, Lord Krishna says, that you should know that the Acharya is as good as me. You should never disrespect him in any way. You should never think him an ordinary person of this material world, because he is the representative of all the demigods. Even you see, he eats, he sleeps, he passes stool and urine, all these things. But you should not think an ordinary person, because he is the representative of Krishna. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was saying that when I come to this section of Bhagavatam, should I change the meaning? Should I instead instruct my disciples that you had better get a stick and beat the guru? No, he said, I must do my duty, that is to instruct Shastra as it is. And if Shastra says that guru must take such a position, then I must do. He said, I will not engage in such cheating as to go against the Shastra. Krishna has said, I must act like this, so I must act like this. Another example Prabhupada gave, that of a dancing girl. Now, dancing girl, of course, in the modern age, it's considered very normal that young girls will go out and dance in disco dance and all these things. But in Vedic culture, that is considered extremely low class. Dancing girl means prostitute. No respectable girl will even show herself to an unknown man, let alone dance. So there are a class of girls who are like that, prostitutes, and they go and dance publicly. And men enjoy to see the movements of their bodies. Now, part of the culture is that if a girl sees a respectable man, or someone that she offers respect to, then she should cover her head with her sari veil. So if a girl comes onto the stage to dance, but then she sees, oh, there's someone I know, I respect, then she covers her head. That's ridiculous. Because she's come to dance means she's come to show off her beautiful bodily features, whatever they may be. So then why should she again try to cover herself up? Why should she show shyness and respectability when she's already in a position which is not shy or respectable? You've come to dance, dance, do it fully. So same thing, devotee, his mood is considering himself very fallen and lowly. But he has to follow the order of his guru, and if guru gives the order, you be guru, then he has to do that fully. That means his main duty is to chastise his students. That's most important. That unless he chastises them, they'll turn out very bad. Lalane bahavo dosha, tarane bahavo guna. That Prabhupada used to quote Chanakya Pandit. Simply to coddle. I don't know how you say that. Just to pat. I mean, just like the child. That you shouldn't do with your student. Bahavo dosha. He says it's very bad. If you do like that, oh, you're very nice. Oh, you never get up till 9 o'clock in the morning, but you're very nice. Oh, you never wear tilak or you never chant any rounds, but you're very nice. We see some devotees, when the Guru comes, they're very nice. Ideal devotees. And 1 minute after he's gone, they're back to their normal nonsense. So that is not sincere. So the Guru, his duty is to find out the fault of the disciple and chastise him. Prabhupada told that my duty, even if you have no fault, I'll chastise you. It's good for you. That even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there's no fault in him. How is it possible? But his Guru performed his duty when he came. He said, I'd like to take initiation from you. All right, now you're initiated. Now I'll start to instruct you. The first thing you should understand, you're a complete fool. You don't know anything. If you think I'm going to teach you the Vedanta Sutra, forget it. You don't have any brains to understand Vedanta Sutra. Who do you think you are anyway? Just chant Hare Krishna. That's good for you. So, of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he took such chastisement from his Guru. So this is the real meaning. You cover your body with dust of the lotus feet of a devotee. Prabhupada, he didn't... Of course, it's stated in Shastra, but Prabhupada didn't make that part of our program. That just like we have Mangalati, Tulsiati, Japa, then covering ourselves in dust of devotees. He didn't. But the real thing, that means to show submission. It's like in Bengal, so many people come to touch your feet. So sometimes I would say to them, touch feet, bow down. That's very good culture. That is culture. But unfortunately, the culture is there, but the proper teaching has not been there. Therefore, even though that very nice culture is there, it's all mixed up with wrong ideas. And you'll find that especially in East Bengal, people, they chant Hare Krishna, they have tilak, they have tulsi neck beads, but they also eat fish and they smoke and so many funny things. But still the culture is there, that is very good. It's better than the eat meat, drink wine culture, no doubt, much better. So anyway, so many people would come. Sometimes they'd be walking 15 kilometers just to come. So if they want to come and touch your feet, you can hardly say. It's very difficult to say no. So anyway, they're bowing down. Then I'd ask them, so you're bowing down, that's very humble, that's very nice. But are you willing to take some instruction from me? You're bowing down, that shows humility, but are you humble enough to take the instruction? So mostly they'd say yes, a little nervously. So I tell them, you stop eating fish, you stop smoking, and you chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra at least 16. They mostly didn't agree. They didn't protest, but they expressed their inability. Cheshta korbo, I'll try. So anyway, the real humility means not a big display of humility. Oh, I'm the most fallen. No, I'm the most fallen. No, I'm really the most fallen. We don't have time to have such a conversation. We have service to do. All right, you're the most fallen. Take this brush and sweep the floor. Simply to say I'm the most fallen, that's also what in perverted Bengali Vaishnava culture, it's like a kind of competition to see who can make the biggest show of being humble. But real humility means to follow the instructions. So we should be very careful not to imitate this kind of sahajya culture. But we should be actually humble by taking the orders of our spiritual master on ahead, acharyas. Not imitate. Anusharan, anukaran. There are two words in Sanskrit which sound very similar. Anusharan means to follow in the footsteps. That means to follow in the instructions and to try to emulate their ideal example. And anukaran means a imitation. Just like, I remember there was one devotee, he used to imitate Prabhupada's way of chanting. As if by imitating that sound, that would automatically make his chanting as potent as Prabhupada's. Or some devotees, they used to imitate Prabhupada's way of walking, putting his head in the air like this. But that is imitation, that's not the real thing. Following in the footsteps, humbly, that is required. This is the method to get all transcendental knowledge. That's why we can boldly say that anyone who has taken to Krishna consciousness, he is more learned than anyone, even big PhD, Nobel Prize winner, whatever. Because he knows the essential truths. What are those essential truths? We are not this body, we are eternal spirit soul. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are His eternal servants. Therefore we should serve Him and prepare ourselves to go back home, back to Godhead, to Krishna. And the most important method of the basis of all service is the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. Sometimes people in India, they're surprised. They see our devotees. That, how have you got such wonderful knowledge? We'll simply speak to them, you're not this body, you have to surrender to Krishna. They're amazed. Oh, such high philosophy you're speaking. Actually it is. This is the highest philosophy. And mostly people in India, even though they have some culture and maybe a few of them still have some knowledge of Shastra, but they don't come to such a high platform because they don't have the mercy of the gurus in Parampara. They have some bogus guru who teaches them all the wrong things. And those who are devotees, maybe in Gauriya Sampradaya or Sri Sampradaya or whatever, when they hear this, they're very happy and they're also very surprised. That how could you have got such wonderful knowledge? That you're born in the Western countries and you're brought up in such an ignorant way with no Vedic culture. And here you are speaking this knowledge which so many people in India from cultured, pious backgrounds, they haven't realized. And they know what the secret is. Therefore they praise Prabhupada, what a wonderful thing he has done. That knowledge which otherwise bahunam janmanam ante jnanavang mang prapadite vasudeva sarvamati samahatma sudolava. That knowledge which could not be attained in millions and millions of lifetimes. That knowledge has been given to those who are otherwise destined to go to hell for millions and millions of lifetimes. Those who are practicing austerities, study of the Vedas, pious activities, after many, many, many lifetimes, if they finally get the mercy of a pure devotee, then they can understand Krishna is all in all and surrender to Him. There is no question of those who are engaged in impious activities of coming to such a level. Ishang tvantagatang papang jananang punya karmanang tridanva mohanir mukta bhajante mang dhiravata. Krishna says in Gita, who can be my devotees? Who are free from sinful life, who are fixed in knowledge, not people born in Croatia. It's not expected. Either in Yugoslavia or in Croatia or in London or in America or anywhere. Maybe in Vrindavan or Haridwar or Rishikesh or Sri Rangam. But this knowledge Prabhupada is given simply, straightforwardly, along with his mercy. Spiritual master means he carries the mercy of the Supreme Personality of God. He has no, independently he has no mercy, but he carries the mercy of God. That means that Krishna has deposited his mercy in his agent who he sends to this world. Just like an insurance company may send its agent here and there for getting contracts. So the agent is authorized to act on behalf of the company, and he can give all the benefits of the company to willing persons. So a pure devotee is an authorized representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he carries the mercy of the Supreme Personality. And those who are willing to take it, he delivers the mercy so that they can understand Krishna. In this way, the spiritual master is benedicting the world. Therefore, one cannot understand Krishna without going through the via medium of pure devotee spiritual master. It is not possible. Elsewhere in Bhagavatam, we see Jarabharat saying more or less the same thing. Rahuganai tat tapasanayati. What is that verse? Namedhya na bahuna shuti. Nachandasa naiva jalagni surya vinamahat pada rajobhishekam. More or less the same thing he says. He says, Rahugana Maharaj asked Jarabharat, that how have you come to be such an advanced devotee? You look like a madman, Rahugana said to him. But when you speak, you have such realized knowledge which I never heard of before. What have you done? What was the great austerity or penances or spiritual practice that you did to attain such an elevated position? So, Jarabharat replied that, my dear Sir, Rahugana Maharaj, it is not by austerity that such a position can be attained. It is not by independently studying the scriptures that such a position can be attained. It is not by mundane intelligence that such a position can be attained. It is not by performing sacrifices that such a position. It is not possible to attain this position at all unless one does one thing. Unless he covers his body with the dust of the feet of the pure devotees. So this we should always remember, that Krishna consciousness means Guru and Krishna, both. Naturally, if you think of Guru, you must think of Krishna. We cannot think of Krishna without the mercy of Guru. So both go on side by side. Those who have accepted this path, they make rapid spiritual advancement, and they go back home, back to God. Those who don't accept this path, who want to understand everything by their own mundane intelligence, they may think they know everything very nicely, but they don't know anything. For them, there's another verse in Bhagavad Gita, Ashradadhana Purusha Dharmasyasya Parantapa Aprapya Mam Nivaritante Mrityu Samsara Vartmani. Those who don't have faith in this process of Krishna consciousness, for them, simply they have to remain rotating in this material world, never attaining Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Is there any question? Chapter already called The Duties of a Personal Servant. But Guru-disciple relationship is such a big subject that I'm intending to write another book about that at some other point in time. I'm not exactly sure when. There's so much work to do, so many books to write.
We all know that Guru, and there is many people can accept. There are really fun. Then we start the problem with the relationship with the Lord. So we say, okay, yes, Guru.
That's another chapter in the book.
This pure devote is no problem. Everybody, but then others here are false. Nobody knows anything. Nobody can say anything because we are all the same. How can we?
Actually, I gave a whole lecture on this in Belgrade. So that's that question answered. You can listen to the lecture. Anyway, the basic point I said is that there'll always be some kind of friction. That's natural. I can tell you frankly, I don't know if you know or not, you may be surprised, that even between our ISKCON gurus there's disagreements and so many things. But even though there's disagreement, we're united in the service of Krishna. The disagreement doesn't become so bad that we set up machine guns and all this kind of thing. See, even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Leela, you'll find there's so many things. His Gopinath Patanayak was corrupt. He was arrested by the king. And Damodar Pandit, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had to send him away because he was too critical. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very upset with Jagadananda Pandit because he used to give instruction to Sanatana Goswami. And he's not supposed to do that. These are all the leelas of the great pure devotees. But the point is that wherever there are people, there will be some agreement and disagreement. This material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. And even in the spiritual world, sometimes Krishna and Radharani are fighting. Sometimes Radharani's Sakhis, they catch all the cowherd boys and tie them up and punish them. Yes, wait a minute, Mataji shouldn't do this to the brahmacharis. So anyway, the point is that if that's there in the spiritual world, then there's going to be here also. So that's natural. But it shouldn't come to the point where our service becomes hampered. The thing we're here for is to serve Guru and Krishna. So we're not perfect and we have all different ideas and this and that. But as long as the chanting is going on, the preaching is going on, the prasadam distribution is going on, the book distribution is going on, little friction, it doesn't mean very much. Now that shouldn't be a license. You shouldn't take this as a license that everyone can simply do what they like, say what they like. Because this institution is organized with a purpose to spread the glories of Krishna's holy name. Organization means there must be management, leadership, discipline, all these things. Sometimes people think, well, that's not very spiritual. But if it's in the service of Krishna, it is spiritual. And even traditionally in ashrams, the senior devotees, they discipline the junior devotees. It's not outside the Vedic culture. Basic principle is that we should follow the authorities. Otherwise it becomes impossible. That every time the pots have to be washed, you have to have a Nishta Goshti to find out who shall wash the pots. Just the town president, of course there should be someone fixed to the service, but if there's not, for some reason, that person's sick or whatever, town president says, go wash the pots. So you just do it and then everything goes on very nice. It's very, very basic principles. Any other questions?
Sometimes we take dust from the feet of devotees or some Maha Prasadam from their plates. Is it proper?
Someone was asking me about this the other day, that there's some idea that when the devotee is eating, you take the food from their plate. This is 100% bogus. And the general etiquette...
You said you throw to someone?
No. If someone is taking prasad, and someone comes up to their plate and takes something from it, that is not bona fide. And generally the etiquette is that one doesn't take the remnants of other devotees the same level. Mostly one should take guru remnants especially. One may, if one is very eager, also take the remnants of devotees on the same level. But you shouldn't steal it when they're eating. No, you should not. It's not a joke. You should not. And who's taking prasad, he shouldn't leave any remnants. He should eat everything. That's another principle. Guru, that's part of the culture. He may leave remnants for his disciples. That should also be distributed only among initiated devotees. Not that everyone walks in the door, you give that. That's, you don't do all the time because poor Guru is, you just can't get any peace otherwise. Like in Bangladesh. Day and night people coming to disturb you. There may be occasion. Maybe Vyasa Puja day. That should be taken with permission also. We may be very eager to take, but devotee may not be very eager to give. So you have to work it out using your intelligence. You can follow behind that they did with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then, any other question? Of course, he was going barefoot. Now in these Western countries, a little bit cold, everyone is wearing shoes. So you may have... that you may do also. But don't imitate the Bengali Sahajiyas. That their only business is touching feet. And they have nothing else to do, no service. That should also be done, if done in a mood of seriousness. That one side we're talking, that devotees are fighting, other side we're talking, should we take the dust of the feet? So of the two, better have the last one, taking the dust of the feet. Not that you take the dust of the feet and say, you rascal. And there should be a mood of great humility. And actually we should respect all the devotees. Anyone who has come to Krishna is glorious. Even they may have this or that, they may have this tendency or that tendency, but they've come to Krishna is glorious, wonderful. That, especially we see so many young people are coming to join this movement. This is so pleasing to see that the whole propaganda of materialistic society, now you enjoy, especially while you're young. You have a young body, you can enjoy it, but they're not interested. They've come to serve Krishna and restrain the senses. This is wonderful. You should respect that. Anyone who's come to Krishna is wonderful. We say all glories to the assembled devotees. So that's what it means. All glories to the assembled devotees. Any other questions? Positive criticism means that we want to see how Krishna's movement is going on nicely. We see some defect and we point it out for the betterment. Just like we see devotees coming with no tilak, so that's not very good. Make a proper atmosphere, and is not good for their own spiritual life also. So we point it out so that it may be improved. But if we're simply fault-finding, this is not good, that's not good, the whole movement's not good, then what is the use of such criticism? Useless.
How can you know the difference between suggestions and messing up one's service? For example, you say something to one devotee as a suggestion, and he says, "Not now, this is not good service."
That's true. We don't need millions of suggestions. The process Prabhupada gave us is very simple and straightforward. We follow the temple program, we take prasad and we distribute books, we distribute prasad and we worship the deities. We don't have to change everything every 10 minutes. So it's not that everyone has to agitate their brain to think, what should I suggest today? Even if you suggest and then you change something and then someone will say, well, it was better as it was before. You know the story of the man with the donkey? You know that story? Well, a man was going on a long journey with his son and a donkey. The donkey was quite old, so he couldn't carry both the man and his son at the same time. So the man was going on the donkey and the boy was walking along beside. So he was walking along and then they saw someone on the path and he said, what kind of a man are you? Your young child is walking and you're on the donkey? So he got off the donkey and put his son on the donkey and walked himself. And after some more distance, they passed another person and he said to the boy, how can you sit on the donkey and your father is walking? Don't you know proper etiquette? So the man took the boy off the donkey and they both walked, and the donkey walked without carrying anybody. And after some distance, they passed another man. He said, what kind of people are you? You've got a donkey and you're both walking? So whatever you do, someone will criticize. And if you do nothing, someone will also criticize. So our basic activities are very simple. Chant Hare Krishna and go out and distribute books. Distribute prasad. Chant 16 rounds. Go to Mangalarti. Very simple and straightforward. And then there may be some suggestion also. But it's not like I say, we don't have to... Yeah, we make a suggestion box, and we have to make a bigger one, and everyone simply sit. Prabhu, could you go out and distribute books? No, I'm writing my suggestion. So you should have 2 hours time for reading every day and 2 hours time for writing suggestions. We don't need so many suggestions. Good suggestion is, everyone should come to the temple program, everyone should engage fully in devotional service, everyone should chant Hare Krishna and be happy. That's Prabhupada's instruction. Prabhupada said, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. So in